Continuing with neurophysiology, we're now going to discuss graded potentials and answer the questions: what is meant by graded potential? What triggers a graded potential? What does this all look like on an action potential graph? And what is an excitatory and inhibitory postsynaptic potential? Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Morton, and I'm the noted anatomist. So here is everything we're going to talk about with graded potentials. And so you're going to notice there's going to be a duplication for each bullet that we hit. And hopefully by the end, this concept of graded potential will be something that will warm the cockles of your heart. So graded potentials originate in dendrites in the cell body and summated in the axon hillock. Let's do that again with this picture. There are the dendrites, and there's the cell body, also known as the soma, and there's the axon hillock. This is the primary integration site for incoming electrical signals. The axon hillock determines whether the neuron will generate an action potential or not. It has high concentration of voltage-gated sodium channels that allow it to sum up incoming potentials. There's the axon, which is if the axon hillock initiates an action potential, the axon propagates unidirectionally down the axon to its terminals. The action potential does, transmitting the neural signal. This now shows a bunch of other axons that have a terminal axon adjacent our cell body. Before I talk about that, let's zoom in for a second. There is what we call the presynaptic neuron, and there is the postsynaptic neuron. They're both called that because the synapse is the space in between. Presynaptic is before the synapse, postsynaptic is a neuron after. However, we call this part the terminal axon because it's the very end of the presynaptic neuron's axon. And what's going to happen is that terminal axon is going to release, okay, if it's I make it yellow, which shows an action potential spreads down it, which then causes neurotransmitters to be released that go across, bind to some type of a ligand-gated ion channel that opens and allows an influx of positively charged ions that then enter this postsynaptic neuron. At the axon hillock, we see the VM, which is the membrane potential, typically negative 70 millivolts. And so that positive sign just represents the voltage, and it's negative 70 millivolts. Now watch what happens to that positive sign as more and more of these terminal axons cause an influx of positively charged ions. The VM, the membrane potential, becomes less negative or more positive. And when it reaches threshold, that's what initiates an action potential to spread down the axon. Okay? So graded potentials originate in the dendrites and cell body and are summated in the axon hillock. Let's review a concept just to make sure you get it, that graded potentials are triggered by neurotransmitters and external stimuli. So here we have neurotransmitters. Now these could be anything from acetylcholine to dopamine and so forth. Those neurotransmitters are coming from the presynaptic neuron. On the postsynaptic neuron, on the dendrites and cell body, are the receptors. So neurotransmitters come down. Now, typically, if this is an excitatory postsynaptic potential, when they bind, it allows this influx of positively charged ions. I did it again. An influx of positively charged ions, and the axon hillock's membrane potential becomes less negative or more positive, inching towards threshold. So graded potentials are triggered by neurotransmitters. Graded potentials are small deviations from the resting membrane potential that may be depolarizing or hyperpolarizing, okay? So here we've got this picture, and there is of the action potential graph. The resting membrane potential, the VM, is typically negative 70 in a neuron. If it's depolarizing, then that means it's an excitatory postsynaptic potential, meaning if the graded potential depolarizes, becomes less negative, then it means it's reaching closer to threshold, typically negative 55 millivolts. So we call that an excitatory postsynaptic potential. But if it's hyperpolarizing, mean that an influx of, say, negatively charged ions or an efflux of positively charged ions, then this is an inhibitory postsynaptic potential, means that graded potential is taking it farther away from threshold. And so graded potential either makes it easier to fire an action potential. It's excitatory, or it takes it farther away from threshold, and it's inhibitory. More on that later. So these graded potentials, here we've got A, B, and C are showing each of these graded potentials, but collectively, A is like negative 63, B is like negative 58, C is negative 61. None of them become less negative or become positive enough to hit the negative 55 threshold. So those might be depolarizing, but those graded potentials did not reach threshold. So the stimuli causes small depolarizations. D, notice that they pass threshold, so it's a larger stimulus that depolarizes above threshold, and it may trigger the action potential in that postsynaptic neuron. Here in E, F, and G, notice that there's grades of becoming hyperpolarizing, and there's stimuli causing hyperpolarization getting farther away from threshold, so that would be an inhibitory response. Now, graded potential's amplitude is proportional to the stimulus strength, this graded response. So here we've got this action potential graph again. Now watch what happens from resting membrane potential. There's a small stimulus, and then there's a greater stimulus, and a greater stimulus that reaches threshold, and bang, it then fires an action potential. This is a lot like, graded potentials are a lot like crowdfunding. That if you've got, I remember there was this microphone that I invested in years ago, that someone had this idea, and this is before, and I say years ago, like 10 or more years ago, before we have all these cool mics in the classroom. It was like a throwable microphone. And so they had this crowdfunding. They said, if we raise $250,000, then we're going to launch this product. So I donated a very small blip stimulus of something like $100 towards this $250,000. If they reached the $250,000, then they're going to launch this product. And this one company never reached the $250,000, so they never launched the creation of this product. So graded potentials are like crowdfunding. You have to reach a certain threshold if you're going to then create a product or fire and initiate an action potential. Graded potentials above threshold in the axon hillock open these voltage-gated sodium channels, producing and initiating the action potential down the axon. So let's now take, you see that little on the axon hillock, let's take that little bit, and you can see the dendrite portion in the cell body on the left and the axon hillock more in the middle. So watch these neurotransmitters then come down, and watch what happens when the neurotransmitters bind to these ligand-gated sodium channels, and watch what happens to the resting membrane potential of the axon hillock. The neurotransmitter binds, opens its ligand-gated sodium channels, and when these positively charged sodium ions come in, watch. An influx of small sodium, positive ions, cause the axon hillock to become a little less negative. And again, until you have, at the axon hillock, this summation at negative 55 millivolts, and then the voltage-gated sodium channel, it's voltage-gated because at negative 55 millivolts, this voltage-gated sodium channel opens, which allows an influx of sodium ions. The influx of sodium ions cause in this axon hillock, in the axon, then these voltage-gated sodium channels open, and you see this action potential propagation down the axon, okay, and so forth. So graded potentials can be integrated both temporally and spatially. Now, what does that mean? Well, temporally, it means like this. You've got, there's a presynaptic neuron, and then there's the axon hillock. Now watch, that one neuron keeps firing, and it keeps increasing the, or making the membrane potential in the axon hillock less negative. So temporally speaking, over a short period of time, that axon hillock hits threshold. But spatially, what happens is this. You see each of these neurons in succession or close succession in a spatial pattern, causing an influx of sodium ions or a positively charged ion that causes the axon hillock to reach threshold, initiating an action potential. And so what we see is the axon hillock's high concentration of voltage-gated sodium channels allows it to sum up incoming potentials, either temporally, potentials arriving at slightly different times, or spatially, potentials arriving at different locations, either of which, when combined potentials add up to threshold, negative 55 millivolts, the voltage-gated sodium channels in the axon hillock open, initiating the action potential that spreads down the axon. Now, graded potentials result in an excitatory or inhibitory postsynaptic potential. I recognize I've talked about this again, but I want to hit this a little bit more. An excitatory postsynaptic potential, EPSP, is a brief depolarization of a postsynaptic neuron that increases the likelihood of generating an action potential. Now, in contrast, an IPSP, an inhibitory postsynaptic potential, is a brief hyperpolarization of a postsynaptic neuron that decreases the likelihood of generating an action potential. Let's do that again, except with pictures. So here's a neuron in yellow. That's a postsynaptic neuron, and it has a neurotransmitter, and there in green is the postsynaptic neuron with a ligand-gated sodium channel. Now, what would happen if a neurotransmitter caused the ligand-gated sodium channel to open? Now watch. It causes an influx of sodium, which brings the VM, resting membrane potential, closer to threshold to fire an action potential. In other words, the VM is less negative. We call this an excitatory postsynaptic potential. It's a brief depolarization of a postsynaptic neuron that increases the likelihood of generating an action potential. Now, what would happen if a neurotransmitter caused a ligand-gated chloride channel to open? So there's a neurotransmitter, binds, opens a ligand-gated chloride channel, so now we have an influx of a negatively charged neuron. It brings the VM away from threshold, so it does not fire, getting farther away from an action potential. The VM becomes more negative. We call this an inhibitory postsynaptic potential, a brief hyperpolarization of a postsynaptic neuron that decreases the likelihood of generating an action potential. That, my friends, is graded potentials in a nutshell.